Hey everyone, I'm Kate Kennedy and I'm here at the Depot to talk about Kane history. There are some really great connections of Kane history and Thanksgiving, and tonight Denny Driscoll is going to share some of those with us. So I'm going to flip you around and we'll walk on over and say hello. Hi Denny.
Hi, good evening, Kate.
How are you?
Great, great. I'm so pleased and thankful that you're here tonight. Because it's not a fit night for man or beast out there.
It's
The
definitely
storm is raging.
it's windy, it's rainy, it's cold, yes.
And I'm glad you're here. And it's so appropriate for Thanksgiving Day. People don't realize how important Thanksgiving is to our community and to all the people who have come to Kane in one way or another. However, Thanksgiving has actually started, I believe it was 150 years ago, if we add 1 year and 1 day. Because it was November the 26th, 1868, that Elizabeth started her journal. And on a Thanksgiving Day, that had a storm much like we're having now. And the best thing about it is her words, her first words, were just 6 words. And 3 plus 3, drip, 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 patter, patter, patter. And we stand outside the door, we'll be able to hear the sound that was making.
Yeah, so very similar to the weather we're having tonight.
That's right. So it should place us right at home. And I'll read the first couple paragraphs. Drip, 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 patter, patter, patter. Notice how important the 6s are to Kane. There you sit, Mama, looking just as content as if this provoking rain was not spoiling all our Thanksgiving Day, cries my daughter, Harriet, bursting into the library. So I am contented, Harry, I reply, and the sound of the rain falling on a roof it cannot penetrate, and the beating of the storm against the walls are more appropriate this Thanksgiving Day of 1868 than the brightest sunshine could be streaming through the windows.
That's amazing. And so this is her own handwriting. We have a copy of her journal in her own handwriting, her own words that she wrote in 1868 on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, and with those words, she actually started the Kane Historic Society, of which the Historic Preservation Society is simply a continuation. And so we can take it all the way back to that rainy, stormy Thanksgiving Day of 1868. And she explains that to Harriet, and she wants Harriet to understand that no matter what happens in life, you can find the joy. It's there, and it's very much there in the warmth on a rainy evening. And so it was a perfect Thanksgiving. The interesting thing is that Thomas Leeper Kane, her husband, is in the very same room and hears this conversation. And he looks over and Elizabeth looks over at him. They don't say anything to each other, but they have that speechless vision of each other that says it all. And we're fortunate enough to have a photograph of that very same room. You can see Thomas's desk. You can see the fireplace. You can see a hat above the fireplace with a bucktail in it. Actually, I think he has an antler coming out of it too. That's a little scary. But those rifles next to, probably some shotguns as well, next to the fireplace are there for protection, for hunting, for necessity in the wilds of Pennsylvania way back in 1868.
So which house was this? This was the house up on the summit where the high school currently is.
Exactly, yes. And that room would have been about in in the gymnasium. It was, remember, the front porch was on pretty much on the stage, and it went on a diagonal. So that room was on the left side of the house as you faced it. And so you might be in the weight room or in the gymnasium there in the future. What's fun about swimming there is that I pretend I'm swimming the carrot row one day because the racing lines in the swimming pool are set up about the way their garden was set up.
How neat. What an amazing thing to know exactly where she wrote these words so many years ago. And she titled it something in particular. What was the title of this journal entry? Who was it to?
The journal, and you see the top of the page, it's for the grandchildren. And so in some ways, just about everybody's a grandchild. And the interesting thing is that one of the grandchildren, Elizabeth and Thomas, actually one of the great-grandchildren, brought this journal for us. And it was rather rough, difficult to read. And we actually have another Elizabeth to thank for this, because Elizabeth Haberberger actually spent a great deal of personal time and devoted time, as she is, transcribing this for us. So it made it a little bit easier to read, although Elizabeth is quite the skill.
Yeah, she has beautiful handwriting. She has great ways to put things, but look how thick. There's so many pages in this journal. So to have Elizabeth Haberberger translate each page, that's a gift.
Oh yeah, it's a major gift. And it really came, it seems like only yesterday, but it was about 20 years ago, probably in the late 90s. And it's been sort of our guidepost ever since. And Elizabeth had many journals, and Brigham Young University has a lot of them. We have copies of most of them, and so they're just a wealth of knowledge. Yeah.
So if somebody would want to take a look at Elizabeth Kane's journals, could they come down when you're open, and would they be allowed to take a look through?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm sure there's just so many priceless pieces of information in there. Is there anything else in there that throughout her entire journal that stuck with you?
When we did, in fact, Elizabeth Haberberger and Dr. Michael Schultz put this book together. It was called The Terraces of Kane Summit, and that was actually a quote from Elizabeth. And I'll speak roughly that Elizabeth was amazed that Thomas knew everything about Kane Summit, knew what views he would have if he cut down certain trees and so forth, because he would climb the trees. And she later said, even after years of strategic landscape gardening, she's just beginning to learn what he had always known, that the greenest of glens, the mossiest of brooks, are all commanded by the terraces of Kane Summit.
That's beautiful. And what a visionary he was to be able to see that, and how great that she could grow to appreciate that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's very important. She's truly the mother of the community in a lot of ways. But you can see that Thanksgiving is so special to us. And it was neat. A few years ago, Thanksgiving actually fell on the 26th. And so we had that year, we had the presidential tea, where we used the tea set, and we had tea bags in the tea set. We didn't brew any tea in it, being a couple hundred years old.
Yeah.
We didn't want to damage it, but everyone could share in the joy and the Thanksgiving of that tea. And
how special.
And so Thanksgiving, in a lot of ways, is important to Kane. In fact, it was a Thanksgiving Day in 1961 when a gentleman by the name of Jack Lynch came to visit Dr. McCleary to learn about his wolves. He had seen an article in the Alaska magazine which we are now connected with the gentleman who took the photographs of that, Leonard Rue. And in fact, we have his camera in here. He let us use one of his cameras, and we have his boots, and we've got everything except the socks, I think. But he's been a joy too. But that's how Jack Lynch learned about him. And Dr. McCleary died the next year.
Oh, wow.
And so Jack Lynch came just in time. Now, he didn't keep the wolves in Kane until after he left in '72, but he remained faithful to the wolves. And he died in 2006. And then his wife, Mary, took over, and she died in '16. Mm-hmm. And that's when we learned that the wolves were still together as a pack. Mm-hmm. And they'd been isolated, they had been in seclusion, and they had been especially cared for in 2 years. Well, actually, yeah, 2 years. Mm-hmm. In 1921, they came in to our station. And so it'll be an entire century that they've been living together as a secluded pack, which there are no other creatures on Earth can anyone learn as much about genetics from as you can. Because most tribes didn't travel too far. Remember, they didn't have Delta Airlines, or they didn't have jets 400 years ago. People usually stayed in the same region. And
so Dr. McCleary and then Jack Lynch came Thanksgiving Day, another significant Thanksgiving moment. Yeah. Uh-huh. And now today they're still together, and shortly it'll be a century. Yes. That we're celebrating the Lobo wolves that were saved here in Kane.
The year after next, we'll be celebrating that. And we're celebrating right now the gift of Mr. Fred Rogers and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And it's so appropriate that they're giving that particular movie its due this time of year. Mm-hmm. And so remember, Mr. Rogers' trolley was in speedy delivery was here, and this trolley was made in Kane. And we have some pretty special connections with Fred Rogers and the Fred Rogers family. Richard Bly really nurtured that, and is still really connected to the people from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So a great thing, and as he is the chairperson of the Historic Preservation Society as well.
Well, there's so much to be grateful for, and I know I am among many who are so grateful for the work that you guys do with the Historic Society to keep these stories and these memories and these facts of knowledge alive. It's really important, and you guys do a great job of it. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about Thanksgiving in Kane on this Thanksgiving Eve?
Well, Thanksgiving is thank you. It's pretty easy. It's as easy as 1, 2. It's as easy as left and right. When you turn the key, when I turn the key to the door, I say thank you, because it usually takes 2 sweeps to do any one activity. And if you look around the world globally, every civilization on this earth celebrates gratitude and thanksgiving in one way or another. They might have different concepts of religion, different concepts of the great loving spirit of the universe, but we all share in the gratitude for whatever the gifts of the universe we have. And it would be really neat someday to have a global Thanksgiving Day where everybody on earth celebrates the same day. We can still keep our old one, but it's pretty neat to be able to celebrate it with all the beings.
Yeah, that would be really neat. And it's neat to think about looking forward to something like that in the future, hopefully, and also being able to look backward and see how people were giving gratitude even in the 1800s and have a record of that too. So past, present, and future, we can have lots of things to be thankful for.
Yeah, well, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, a historic Thanksgiving. And remember those 6 words, drip, 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 patter, 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 really brings you joy.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. You just really shared a lot of great information, and thank you for your time tonight.
Well, thank you, Kate.
All right.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you guys so much for watching tonight. I always love learning from the Historic Society. There's so many great gems down here at the depot. So if you ever are interested in seeing Elizabeth's journal for yourself or learning more about different parts of Kane's history, please do stop down on a Wednesday night, 7 p.m. on, or Saturday or Sunday starting at noon. There's just so much to learn and to see, and you're always welcome. And happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. I know that there's a lot to be thankful for, so I hope that you enjoy your time with your family and friends, and we will definitely be back here in December to talk again with the Kane Historic Preservation Society about more of Kane's history. So thanks again for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you again soon.